The secret to creating permanent habits in life is stupidly simple. As long as you follow a few key rules, it's pretty much inevitable. But to convince you of that, I have to talk about a few key concepts first. Stick to the end of the video and I'll show you a technique that brings it all together. A single system that makes success stupidly simple, basically inevitable, and dare I say, fun. If this is your first time here, welcome. This entire channel is dedicated to the art and science of success and productivity. Speaking of success, the first rule is this: what you track is what you improve. The moment you start tracking something is the moment you start getting better at it. Before I started tracking my plank times, I barely worked out my abs. Once I started tracking it, I did it every day. And now, 10 years later, I've yet to stop. As long as I have arms and legs, I'll be planking 15 continuous minutes a day till the day I die. Literally, this is the one commitment of several I've now made to myself. Ask yourself, how many life commitments do you honestly have? If you're like most, you probably haven't really thought about it, or maybe you're still in stage 1, trying to figure out how to make a few good habits stick. And that's okay, but realize there's a better way. For example, you've probably heard something about how habits take 30 days to stick, and so you fixate on the short term. You fixate on the 30 days. As long as you can make it to the 30-day mark, you'll be good, you think. Sorry to say, my friend, you won't. In the game of life, 30 days is just rounding error. The real secret to habit making is to think in larger time frames. A habit isn't just a Christmas sweater you wear once to keep your grandma happy. It's a Christmas sweater you wear for the rest of your life, even when your grandma's dead. Whenever you start a habit, realize the significance, the journey you are about to embark on. Commit to it for life or don't commit to it at all. Stop teasing yourself with half-baked promises. You're the dude who keeps on stringing his partner along. Don't they deserve better? This is the concept of a forever habit, and it is the secret key to everything. Because think about it, as long as I plank 15 minutes a day, in a year's worth of time, I will have planked more than 90 hours total. Since I've been doing this regimen for the past 10 years, that's almost 900 hours total spent in the plank position. Compare this with a dude who relies on the occasional burst of motivation to go to the gym, who only goes when he feels like it. The difference in the amount of time we each spend in the hot seat doing actual work isn't even comparable. Extend that over an entire lifetime, and the gap becomes simply insurmountable. This is the second rule of habits, the concept of lifetime work. Take Jerry Seinfeld. You've probably heard of him, one of the world's most successful comedians of all time. The dude brings in $40 to $60 million a year, and according to Bloomberg, has a net worth over $1 billion. According to legend, a young comic by the name of Brad Isaac was in the comedy club where Seinfeld was about to do a set. Rushing over to him, he asks Seinfeld for comedy tips. This is what Seinfeld supposedly said: if you want to be a better comic, you have to create better jokes, and the only way to create better jokes is to write every day. Get a calendar with the entire year on a single page. For each day you write, you cross that day off with a big fat red X. After a few days, you'll have a chain of red X's. Your only job: never break the chain. Seinfeld's other rule was to spend 2 hours a day writing jokes. In those 2 hours, only one thing is allowed: writing. Even if you don't write for the entire 2 hours, you can't do anything else. No distractions, just a yellow pad, a pen, and boredom. That's it. In absolute terms, how much lifetime work does that amount to? He was 21 years old when he first started telling jokes at a New York nightclub, and 35 when Seinfeld, the show, debuted. That's at least 14 years of writing, or 10,220 hours of total time. To put that into perspective, that's sitting at a desk writing for 40 hours a week for 5 years straight. Now, even at 70, he still hasn't stopped. 49 years of writing for 2 hours a day. That's almost 36,000 hours of writing. How much time have you consistently dedicated to something you care about? Is it even a fraction of that? Of course, success isn't just absolute time spent. There's a lot of other factors too, but it's the one thing you and I can control. And apparently, a thing even superstars like Jerry Seinfeld, a guy at the top of his game, couldn't even afford to not put in. Fact is, you can't control how much talent you have. You can't control your life circumstance. You can't control how many sweaters your grandma knits for you or how many Lamborghinis are in your garage. But what you can control is your time. Maybe not even all of it. Maybe you have 2 or 3 jobs simply trying to keep the lights on. You may be even working harder than almost anyone, but in the time you do have left, the time you indeed can call your own, it's up to you to actually own it, to use it in what you can to meaningfully move the needle, even if it's just a tiny millimeter a day. And over a lifetime, it all adds up. This is what I call a forever win. Speaking of saving time, I recently started using Grammarly. If you didn't know, Grammarly isn't just a fancy spell checker. It's actually an incredibly versatile AI writing partner that elevates your writing to buttery smooth levels of excellence. No matter what you're doing, from writing an essay to editing a resume to even crafting that last-minute Hail Mary email to your professor asking for an extension, Grammarly is there for you no matter what you're writing. Grammarly stands out from other AI tools because it works where you work. No more copying and pasting. You can feel confident writing in any platform or app. For example, let's say I want to write an email to Professor Harrison. You want to convince him that you need an extra week to finish your amazing research paper on the remarkably disproportionate life achievements that accrue to people named Bob. I first used Grammarly to brainstorm how to construct the email in the most persuasive way possible. Then I set the tone of how I want to come across in my email, and presto, Grammarly creates a complete draft using the exact points already outlined, all done in less than a minute. And that's just the tip of the efficiency iceberg. Grammarly also provides instant auto citations when you're doing research, and if you get Grammarly Premium, it's able to even scan 16 billion web pages to ensure nothing you write can ever be misconstrued as plagiarized work. What are you waiting for? Sign up and upgrade to Grammarly Premium for 20% off with the link below. Now, back to the video. There's a scoreboard in all of our lives. It's invisible to most, but to the ones who are paying attention, it powers almost everything. Each push-up I do, each hour I spend crafting a video, each donut I skip out on, it all goes on what I call my Lifeboard of forever wins. How many push-ups in my entire life have I done? How many donuts accidentally rolling into my field of vision have I stopped myself from eating? If I don't count, I won't know. And if I don't know, I won't care. Thus, your job is simple. From this day forth, anything you do care about, you must keep track. Put it on Excel, get a giant piece of paper, tack it on your wall. Don't worry, I'll teach you an even better way in just a bit. Point is, if you want to be a writer, keep track of how many hours you actually spend writing. If you want superhuman charisma, keep track of how many new people you actually practice talking to. There's a story in the 4 Disciplines of Execution that illustrates this principle. It's Friday night, and the local high school football team is playing a game. The stands are packed, and yet the crowd is barely watching. Guess what the problem was? The scoreboard had been blown down by a hurricane and had yet to be repaired. No one cared because no one knew the score. Your life is the same. If you don't know the score, you won't bother either. And so, let's now talk about the simple system that brings everything I just talked about together. Get yourself a notebook like this with graph paper. Make sure it's 1, durable, and 2, something you like, because you're going to use this baby for the rest of your life. I already made a video about the most important book in your entire life, but this book may actually be just as important too, because this book is about to become your official scoreboard, what I call the Lifeboard of forever wins. To properly use this book, first sit down and think about what your ultimate, most awesome self would look like. What are they doing? How do they think? What kind of habits do they do on a consistent daily basis? In the first page of your book, I urge you to make an actual list of things you want to accomplish every day. For me, that list is divided into 4 main sections. Each section is color-coded. Body is red, brain is blue, mind is green, and spirit is yellow. I may not have enough time to do all of this, but it gives me a benchmark to work towards. As I progress through my Lifeboard, goal is to push myself consistently so I eventually do get there. There are a few rules to follow when using your personal Lifeboard of forever wins. The first rule of the Lifeboard is everything counts. We've talked about the concept of small wins on this channel. The Lifeboard is a place to keep track of all of it for maximum motivation. Let's say I wasn't able to do 100 push-ups today. I only did 1 push-up. Even so, I still get to put it on the Lifeboard. The body section is red, so I'll color in the box with red and write the number 1 in this box. Tomorrow, I ended up doing 5 push-ups, and so I'll color in the next box red too and write 6 because 5 push-ups gets added to the 1 push-up I did the day before for a lifetime count of 6 push-ups. Each time you execute on a habit, no matter how small, you simply add to the previous day's score. There's only a few things that are pretty permanent in life: your credit score, your criminal record, and your internet search history. Add to that list now the Lifeboard of Forever Wins, a record for all your life achievements. Because even a single push-up is an achievement, a forever win, something that deservedly gets put on your awesome life scoreboard. It's a team sport after all, because all future yous coming to bat are also going to do what they can to tack some wins onto the board. If you haven't heard of the personal tribe of future yous before, check out this video next. Each push-up, each word you read, each second you devote to a habit you care about, it all counts. It's you literally pushing yourself closer towards becoming the person you've always wanted to be. So celebrate it. That's what the Lifeboard is all about, a book of celebration, a book you can look back on to remind yourself, holy smokes, you've done a lot already. Second rule of the Lifeboard is that you can only fit one thing for each box for each time you do it. Meaning, because this box is already red with a number 1 for my single push-up, doing 4 more push-ups today must go in the next box. 4 more pull-ups is the same. Both will go in their own separate boxes. Same idea though, I color-coded red. Maybe I'll write PL4 to signify 4 pull-ups. By the way, if the boxes on your paper are too small, then just combine 4 boxes together to make a bigger box. Doesn't really matter. Either way, just try to keep things a standard, consistent size. Third rule is this: Lifeboard only goes up. You may be tempted to institute a rule where if you skip a day, you fill in a box black or deduct a win, signifying the fact you've broken the chain, to replicate the never break the chain psychology technique to keep a habit going. Personally, I wouldn't recommend it. It only works when you haven't broken the chain, but once you break it, and you're more likely to break it than not, the whole system ends up working against you. Because off days happen, you have to expect that and build flexibility into your system. Otherwise, the disappointment and negative feeling you get from breaking a habit, even for a day, starts to snowball into a negative chain of broken habits. Because once you miss one day, missing 2 days isn't that big of a deal anymore. Same for 3 days and 4 days and so on and so forth. You already feel crappy for screwing up, and so just like that, you begin to delay starting up the chain again. Because mentally, it's a huge lift to get back into a chain. No one really enjoys the psychological pressure of the never breaking the chain technique. That's why you procrastinate, why you wait until you've mentally recovered, why you wait for inspiration. Forget all that and keep it simple. It's much more motivating to only record successes. This way, if I screw up, there's nothing to worry about. Tomorrow, I'll just get back on the horse because I realize even a single push-up gets me on the board. Even a single push-up increases my overall lifetime score. And plus, it earns me another pretty colored box. Eventually, I want to fill this entire book with freaking awesome colors. Speaking of which, the fourth rule is fill this book up with as much color as possible. And hopefully, not just one color, hopefully a good mix of red, blue, green, yellow, or whatever colors you've chosen for yourself. If you really want to get fancy, you can have each individual habit be a different color. Use the first page of this book as your legend to keep track of all your colors. As you use this book more, you can even look back and get a quick visual cue of what habits you've rocked and what habits you've kind of been lazy about. The visual artist in me always wants a balance of colors, and so pushes me to work on everything I care about. What I love most about this concept is that, yeah, you may have set some goals on the first page, but most of what this book is really about is the day-to-day. Filling out this book forces you to focus on the journey. Whether or not you get to your goal almost doesn't matter. Am I ever going to get to a 3-minute dead hang? I hope so, but it doesn't matter. The fact that I'm trying and transforming my life goals into consistent real-life actions on the daily is what really matters. As long as I tack some wins on the board, I'm already winning, regardless of the outcome. That's the main message of the Lifeboard and why it's so vitally important to start. If you notice, I purposely kept it simple. Paper and markers, no technology needed. Of course, you can probably get fancy and create some amazing thing on Excel or Notion. In the end, just do what works for you. At any rate, I hope this video was helpful. If you want ideas and stories just like this delivered to your inbox, sign up for my Substack and get some digestible productivity tips sent your way today. Or for more bite-sized regular emails, sign up for the official SpoonFed Ideas newsletter. If you want your very own custom-made character doodle to be part of all future video scenes I draw, then become a Patreon member. You can be yourself, a dog, or even a rock. Possibilities are endless. And as always, best way to support the channel is to subscribe. Go tell your friends, your grandma, and your pet hamster. Smell you later.